The quiet betrayal. The prairie dawn broke in strokes of amber and rose, painting the endless horizon with quiet majesty. A rooster crowed somewhere behind the weathered barn, and the rhythmic creak of a windmill carried over the still air. Ethan Cole, a giant of a man with hands calloused from decades of work, stood before the corral gate, his silhouette a fortress of endurance against the rising light. He moved with unhurried purpose, checking fence lines, feeding horses, and whispering to the cattle as though they were old friends. To him, every dawn was sacred, every breath a promise that the land would yield if treated with respect. Inside the ranch house, Lydia Cole watched him through the lace curtain. Her eyes did not reflect the dawn's warmth. They were cool, distant, lined with the quiet ache of discontent. She had once loved the simplicity of ranch life, the smell of hay, the steady rhythm of days, but that love had soured into restlessness. The land that had once represented freedom now felt like a cage. And her husband, kind and steadfast as he was, had become part of the bars. The kitchen clock ticked heavily, marking time she wished would move faster. Lydia's gaze drifted to a folded letter on the table, its seal already broken. The handwriting belonged to Victor Harland, the man whose name had lately lingered too often on her thoughts. A railway magnate with a smile like a drawn blade, Victor had come to town months ago to discuss laying tracks through rancher territory. He had offered Ethan a fortune for a portion of his land, but Ethan refused. "You can't buy the heart of the earth," he'd said. Lydia had admired his conviction then, until she realized conviction didn't fill an empty wardrobe or a silent house. The letter's words burned in her mind. "The train leaves at dusk. Meet me by the water tower. There are better lives than this one, Lydia, if you're brave enough to take them." Ethan entered the kitchen, brushing dust from his sleeves. "Morning, darlin'," he said gently, placing a hand on her shoulder. His touch was rough, honest, unaware of how it now repelled her. "Sheriff Reed's stoppin' by later. He says Harlan's men been sniffin' around the border fence again." "Of course they have," she muttered. "Railways don't stop for fences." He smiled faintly, thinking she was joking. Maybe not, but a man has to protect what's his. The words hit her harder than he knew. What's his? The phrase clawed at something deep within her, the quiet rebellion growing like a crack in glass. She pulled away under the pretense of tending the stove. "You worry too much," she said, though her tone lacked conviction. Outside, the whistle of a distant train split the silence. Ethan